fake it until you make it. That's not so bad. How many have heard that? Let's fake it until we make it. That's our universal principle that we created. Fake it until we make it. What it means is, let's assume that we're totally abundant right here and right now. Because our assumptions will manifest. Because what happens when an assumption goes into our imagination, image making. And our imagination, as Plato said, we create spiritual prototypes that will manifest that which we have emotion for. That's what we believe in, as Jonas said. And so something else happened then, and I'm going to repeat it to you because it's good. We are the change agent. What happened was we're putting in a water line. So I called my friends at the water company, and I said this, you know, my friends, they're my friends. And I said, we are a non-profit church. Can you give us a break on the water meter? You know, $4,000 is $4,000. And both of them came on, the owner, the president, and the CEO, and said, I'm sorry, Angelo, we realize that the Positive Center has been a great influence in our community, that you've done so well in our community. And we would love to, in any other case, we'd love to help, and we'd love to do whatever it takes to be good neighbors of you. However, the PUC, we always blame things on the PUC, the Public Utility Commission says, no, thou shalt not give a water meter to the Positive Living Center. No way. I said, okay, that's fine. So anyway, what happened this last week was just precious, and I had to share it. And I don't know why all these events are happening that's helping me in my talk here. And so I get a call from my friends there, the president, the CEO, and says, we would like to discuss our easement with you. So we got John Reed, our contractor, on the phone. And I said, yes, what would you like? And John's on there, and he said, they're going to redo the road in front of your driveway there in Indian Springs. They're going to redo that whole room and put in a new bridge. I didn't realize there's a bridge there, but there must be. They're going to redo the bridge, and he says, we have a temporary easement for our water lines right there along the road. But we need to create it into a permanent easement. And that's what we'd like you to think about doing for us. And so rather than do what in the past maybe I would have done is, wait a minute, you wouldn't give us a break on the water meter? Why the heck should I give you a permanent easement for your lousy water line? There's no way I'm going to do that. See, that's our conditioned mind wanted to get even. And what John and I did, and John and I, we were right together, we said, oh, and I won't mention names, oh, this is so wonderful. You want a permanent easement? This is so great. This gives you an opportunity to follow through what you told me last month about not being able to do the water, the meter because of the PUC. There's the law. But I said, now we have a situation where the PUC has nothing to say about it. This is your opportunity to contribute to the Positive Living Center. And, oh, it was great. It was so good. It was so good. Well, what do you have in mind? How about a little bit of free water? And I said, you know, when I was school superintendent, my first day on the job was in the summertime. I got the water bill. You know, it was $3,000. This is nonsense. $3,000 for water? And I know it's worth it. It's better than gold sometimes. But so, yes, I like, you know, some free water. And so let's give it some thought. In the meantime, I go into prayer treatment. And I did this. This is prayer treatment that works like a charm. When it comes to consciousness, the prayer treatment was this. The Positive Center is a life form of the divine. It is the activity of this divine energy we call God. And its purpose is being fulfilled and doing well and doing good for the community. And therefore, because its nature is the nature of the divine, abundance is it, and abundance flows in all ways, including the water. They come back on, and you know what the chief, they told me? Would 4 years be okay for you? 4 years! We now have 4 years of free water. And if you think about the magnitude of that, just connecting to the divine and saying, hey, divine, you know, we're here because we are you in physical form. Therefore, let the buttons flow. We didn't ask for a darn thing. We just accepted 4 years of free water. Isn't that cool? And I know Rana is here. And by the way, you need to connect with Jerry back there. He wants to be in your committee on the landscaping. But can you imagine having the water that we need to establish the plants that she's going to decide on? I have nothing to do with it. Mag and you guys, you're taking charge of all this. But you're going to be establishing the landscaping. We're going to be able to plant things and give it 4 years of seasoned growth. So, you know, and not for any money. The only, it's going to only cost us the $29 a month for the meter fee. And that's it. So anyway, let's clap for the local volunteers. Okay, we did that. Angelo, go on. All of this we call radical reliance on Spirit. And what it all is this. I believe personally that the biggest delusion that Angelo has, and most of us have, is the idea that we need to pray for and do spiritual treatment for the stuff in our life. And I'm so glad you mentioned parking spots, because we're going to use that, Joanne. You were wonderful. And so we treat for this stuff. We don't treat for higher consciousness, we treat for stuff. And where that all came about, when we started training this 44 years ago, when I started learning to be a practitioner, what were we doing? We were learning the 5 steps of treatment, and then we actually treated for parking spots. Remember that, Linda? We treated for parking spots. And so I'm not saying it doesn't work. But what I'm saying about parking spots and stuff, and when I say stuff, I mean money, houses, all the other contents of the world. When we treat for that stuff, we can use the word mundane. If you look in the Webster, the word mundane. And what mundane means, pertaining to the physical. It has nothing to do with consciousness. So it's mundane. So anyway, just a little story. Joan and I, years ago, we were just starting out, and we decided to order a computer from Costco. So we're in the car, and I said, Joan, I'll drive, and you can be with me, and we'll pick up the computer. And Joan on the way said, you know, Tuesday was really awesome, she said. Because in those days, we were doing a Tuesday class, and we were talking about all this stuff. And she said, you taught us how to do the 5 steps of treatment. And she says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that in practice when we go pick up our computer. I said, oh, really? What are you going to do? She says, and I'm driving home. She says, I'm going to treat for the perfect right parking spot, the parking spot that's closest to the front door of Costco. I'm going to treat for that. And if what you said was true, Tuesday, we're going to see and experience that. I said, oh, for gosh sakes, Joan, let's treat for consciousness. Let's not treat for something as mundane as a parking spot. She said, I'm going to do it anyway. You have to know Joan. I'm going to do it anyway. You taught us, and I'm going to. So she was doing her treatment. We pull into the Costco parking lot, and you know, there's always cars there. And I'm going to use the word damn. I'll be damned. the parking spot closest to the front door, the guy in that car was backing out. And we parked there, and she said, see, I told you so. It works. Let's clap for Joan. She's out of the hospital, by the way. I don't know if you knew this, but she's been in the hospital for over a week. But she's got a pacemaker now, and she's in good shape. She's fine. And so she's back. She's been a volunteer of ours here at the PLC for over 16 years. A volunteer. She doesn't come on Sundays, though. You know why? She's very, not introverted, but the huggy and kissy and all that is not her style. And so she'd rather not do that, but she'd rather just cut a check at the end of the month for us, and she's done that for 16 years. We don't have to pray for anything. And all we have to do is assume. And what a guy named Novell, I don't know if you've ever read Goddard's stuff, The Power of Awareness. He said there's only 3 things we really need to do. We need to appropriate, we need to embrace and claim, and we need to assume that which we are. That's all we need to do. Those 3 things. Appropriate, that means take control of it. We need to embrace it and claim it as our own, and we need to assume it. And we assume it in everything that we do. We assume it when we're up against something. We assume the greater good is always present. Granted, this situation I'm confronted with seems fearful and brings me anxiety. However, everything, because I'm a divine source of everything that I experience in this physical world contributes to my evolution in consciousness, contributes to my spiritual growth, and therefore I embrace it and I appreciate it. So anyway, I had to signal our dear friend Stephen. He's going to do something different, I think. Is it different?
It's different.
Oh, yeah.
We done?
Oh, well, I was going to call you, but heck,
Good, close, no close.
I'd rather hear you than me, that's for sure. Neville wound up us, and we bring all this together today to close this out by saying this. He mentioned that this young man of 28 years old, who was a family man of 2 kids, was not going to make it. He was diagnosed with that he was going to die because he had a diseased heart. And so he had not had the instruction that we went through today. And Whit Neville told him this. He said, if you believe that you are going to die, then that's what's going to happen. However, if you understand the idea that what you think about yourself, the relationship that you have in your own mind, reflects the outer. So if you have a relationship in mind where it's fearful and doubtful that you're going to die, then that's what's going to happen. However, if you transcend that and change your consciousness that you're a divine being that's whole and complete right here and now, that you have no needs, you do not have to pray for health, you already have it, it's already in mind, you just need to receive it, then we think you're going to be fine. 4 years later, he gets a note from this guy, and he's well, he had a miraculous healing. Because what he did, he practiced what we just talked about. He changed his awareness. He actually appropriated it. He claimed it. And he actually became it. And he became healed. And that's it. So it is. So it is.